Kept L. What up, fam? Secret Society Productions. It's a Secret Society Productions. Alpha Hex. I know y'all ready. And y'all been ready. Know what I'm saying? Iron Sheik. Melanites were the first Asians and Mayans. The first sellout had the mindset I did. Albion hybrids, the first in fur coats. We first rode monsoons in papyrus boats. A set, the first immaculate conception. They stole the concept and Assad's erection. First Patare of medicine, Imhotep. If Lucy's bones were a cartoon, she's Smurfette. I say Patare, that's where we get father. Paternal matriarch has been martyred. First knowledge we had has been bartered for idol gods instead of the universe charted. Our first schools didn't teach the mental bondage. Self-centered problems, no God, self can solve it. First rituals with wands, not cauldrons. The first goddess and gods are now maximum carnage. Checkmate and get rushed or dumped in garbage. Flemo and region was first in turf nonsense. Pioneers calcified and stay hard until they calcify. Axioba priests or Washington shamans. We are the future, past and present. Been here, no need to represent. We are the future, past and present. Been here, no need to represent. We are the future, past and present. Been here, no need to represent. We are the future, past and present. Been here, no need to represent. No need to represent. Been here, no need to represent. No need to represent. Been here, no need to represent. We were first eating Tim Hortons for breakfast, exchanging energy for rims, Tims and Lexus. We first spoke telepathic, no need to text us. High priests use storms with nature's trust. We first wrote scripts on walls but not authors. Surgery and gene splicing but not doctors. In his story, that's what they called us. First get us civil mortus and then mauled us. First they called you Egyptians and now Christians. But you're first to call the sister hoeing bitches. Rapping punks first to have an orgy with two dykes. Sleeping with dogs means fleas and lice. I heard Exodus movements is filled by sea tries. First saw part 1, not 2 of Zeke guys. Gangsters and banksters stole the first money. Credit cards by masters is money that's funny. They print the counterfeit but put a bounty on your head and call the sheriffs and the Mountie. They call peace officers but call it racial tension. Seems streets are now centers of detection. UC's coming around doing inspections. They still segregating us in sections. They killing us all and adding to pioneer collections. Jaws with goddess nipples and God's erection. We are the future, past and present. Been here, no need to represent. Nah, we are the future, past and present. Been here, no need to represent. Nah, we are the future, past and present. Been here, no need to represent. We are the future, past and present. Been here, no need to represent. Ilmor, Islam, woo! Sun Falcon, Iron Sheik, De Niro, Olmec heads, the old head said, a civilization before Christ wrote bread, well organized before IBM, eyes, lips and nose, I be them. Proof is in the pudding, before Matthew Sterling, the more that I'm digging, pure features before all the mixing phenotypes, culture, traditions. I'm unfailing older Mexican. They love to mention Aztec, Dogons, Mayans, same version. More by sons, no orphans. From 0 to 9 in creation. Eureka, what a moment. Asia for the Asiatic, even under ocean. Soaked up in water, looking like copper. At the seat of consciousness, mistaken for boulders. A strong connect above shoulders. I ain't talking about the look-alike features. We've paved the path. Don't tell me who's first, we first and last. Started with an egg split in half. Mounds and pyramids like the earth giving birth. Oh, the Mexican, I know her worth.
Well, they showing the Jew the exactly origin, Negroid, basic origin for these peoples.
Why do you think they made, they were called a number of here. What would be the significance of that?
To show when these people was arrived to this continent.
Aztec and Mayans weren't first stopped lying, baffled by mysterious basalt carvings. 1200 to 6000 BC, see me in the face of an Olmec head, no TP. Before Christ and metal tools, fools called them slaves. No way, why were there mirrors and jade in their graves so expensive and cosmologically comprehensive? Of course it's elite status and supernatural forces. Timeline of the heads I guess when dated. 12 feet tall, 60 tons when excavated. Only theories are rise of manpower required confuse archaeologists from Tabasco to Veracruz as one of the 6 cradles of civilization. How did we fall for Emancipation Proclamation? A heartland, low-lying tropic forestation, carvings and placement of the heads, master coordination. 93 miles from mountain slopes, braids, feathers, and headdresses, air schools and lobes, distinct and realistic, individualistic, eyes, nose, lip specific characteristics. Mesoamerican Moors with brows, hail, rain, spirits, ceramic objects, carved, highly skilled, artistic, never be forgotten, always remembered. Call it historic treasures of divine splendors.
Pay close attention to everything that is said tonight, and that you should prepare yourself to ask questions about the many troubling problems that beset prehistoric America. It is not really prehistoric, it is merely pre-Spanish, but anything that is pre-European is considered to be prehistoric. It is the really critical missing pages of history, both for America and for Africa.
Look, if you want to read it, read Stanley Lane Poe's The Moors in Spain, written in 1887, or Alejandro Macaziza. Read his book in Spanish, The Moors in Spain, and said that even the bath was introduced by those Africans.
He do goddamn motion picture.
They got me looking for the artifacts till my heart collapse. I be running through the scene like I'm on a lap. The way we left them on the scene put us on a map. So I be all up on the scene looking hard for all the stolen Moorish artifacts, like I'm Artemis. See, I be running through the scene like I'm on a mission. The way they left about the scene made it hard to miss them. See, I be all up on the scene looking for my shit like red flags and green sashes. We assassins, triple gold, my fist high like I'm Selassie. Physical, your men die, we everlasting. In the cold like Northgate, winter, Alaska. Killing the pastor, breaking it down my mind like a disaster. Ass whooping the bastard. If you don't represent the serpentine bloodline, more by bloodline, welcome to the front line. Baby, I want mine. I'm so impatient, I'm cutting up in the lunch line. I call it crunch time. They tryna punk some, but I ain't Noble Time. I'm Noble Draw Lee. I'm working overtime. Hidden treaty, 1787 times 711, higher than 7 heavens. Steady, no guessing. Better stomach the lesson. Who be trapping that house? I'm home alone like Kevin. So step in. I'm here to make my case with law and rest it. I shimmer taught the block, no hairs, necklace. I keep a Baphomet on the top of the dresser, working 7 days a year, looking for the stolen Moorish artifacts, like I'm Artemis. See, I be running through the scene like I'm on a mission. The way they left about the scene made it hard to miss them. See, I be all up on the scene looking for my shit like.
Doctrine of discovery for Maghreb Al-Aqsa. Always challenge jurisdiction of your captors. Stand on your square, no apron or protractors. Who manifest Hepshep, something not Cleopatra. Man is man tantra, know that self mantra. Get out the lower self and vibrate your chakras. Walking on the higher road, my staff on my levels of Allah. If my God protected more with the 7s up. 4 quadrant halos, celestial pharaohs. Exposed those Socrates and Plato's. Chopped down my cherry tree and still couldn't bury me. In their secret lodges, they pretend to be me. Indiana Jones, national treasures. Angels and demons and one world agendas. Razor blade smiles, alien, reptilian. Running corporate governments with more civilians. Invisible wars, police state has risen. Uplifting, falling from their mental prisons. 5-point star drawn, vortex and wormholes. Leads to behind the backs of turncoats.
Stolen Moorish artifacts, like I'm Artemis. See, I be running through the scene like I'm on a mission. The way they left about the scene made it hard to miss them. See, I be all up on the scene looking for my shit like.
But remember, when there came a time in 1506, Africans ruled Spain from 711. We were calling ourselves Moors, M-A-U-E-R-S, then M-O-O-R-S. From 711 until 1485.
Peace, Moors. Islam to all the Moors. All the Moors. Peace and love. Honors to the Prophet, Noble Drew Ali. Be careful, Moors, because it's your own. Wearing turbans and fezzes that will put you back in slavery. Amicus curiae, literally friend of the court. A person with strong interest in or views on the subject matter of an action, but not a party to the action, may petition the court for permission to file a brief, ostensibly on behalf of a party, but actually to suggest a rationale consistent with its views. Such amicus curiae briefs are commonly filed in appeals concerning matters of broad public interest. Example, civil rights cases. Put a big underline circle around that. Civil rights cases. This is what amicus curiae status is. One who is this. One who is a friend of the court. They may be filed by private persons or the government. In appeals to the U.S. Courts of Appeals, an amicus brief may be filed only if accompanied by written consent of all parties, or by leave of court granted on motion, or at the request of the court, except the consent or leave shall not be required when the brief is presented by the United States or an officer or agency thereof. An amicus curiae educates the court on points of law that are in doubt, gathers or organizes information, or raises awareness about some aspect of the case that the court might otherwise miss. The person is usually, but not necessarily, an attorney, and is usually not paid for her or his expertise. An amicus curiae must not be a party to the case, nor an attorney in the case, but must have some knowledge or perspective that makes her or his views valuable to the court. Nobody already told you your own is going to sell you out and put you right back into slavery. Remember, just now we just told you about underlining the civil rights, that the amicus curiae's interest is in civil rights cases more than anything else. That's why they use civil rights cases as the example.
You may not know this, but we are deemed friends of the court. And there was another nut group in Canada. And the Queen's people contacted me. The constable, the chief, one of the chief constables up there. And we was talking about a group of Moors that told me they're going to break somebody out of jail. Because this particular person told me he didn't have to pay. He's a Moorish American, but he lived in Canada. He's a Moorish American. He don't have to obey the Queen's law. And so they was going to gun up and go get him out of jail. So they contacted me, and I told them, I said, I'd gladly come up there and defend my prophet. I'm not afraid to defend my prophet. I said, that's not the teachings of Prophet Noble Drew Ali. I got the Constitution and bylaws. I got the rules and regulations of the Prophet. You cannot find nothing that they're claiming in here. So I'm not a traitor to my kind. I'm a defender of who we are. I am the defender of being a Moorish American. I am a chief defender because I'm not afraid to tell the truth. So I'm just going to tell you, the boy got problems. Richard Pryor said it like that. That boy got problems. He got mental issues. The boy is crazy. I can't say no better than that. My wife tapped me on my shoulder and told me to leave that alone.
We place ourselves as being friends of the court and definitely seeking, if they want us to take the stand to basically share the dictates, the caveats, the customs of Moorish Americans. And if these of the Prophet Noble Jew Ali, and if these individuals are in line with following that measure, we can clearly state for the record that they are not. So we will present ourselves as being friends of the court in terms of that, anywhere to represent the Moorish Science of America and the dictates of our Prophet Noble Jew Ali.
All right. What's your question, sir?
I have more questions if.
So these Moors are telling you out their face, and remember, this is Moorish Science Temple of America, people, 1928, telling you out their own mouth that they are friends of the court. The court is a Roman venue that's a corporation that usurped, escheated, denationalized, and murdered indigenous people in order to be who they are right now. That these people are saying they're friends to them. And they didn't sell you out. If you could convince me that these Moors didn't sell you out, push the thing and prove your claim. Because this is absolute treason with people with fezzes on. Forget the European doing something and they're wrong. Forget the European. Look at your own, who's selling you out. To the same colonists that you're marching up and down the place to. But because you don't want nothing to do with Moors and all that stuff, you don't even know that even Moors are selling you out. That's why we make a distinction. That's why we make a distinction. That we're not the Moors who pretend like Moorish Science Temple of America is a club. That's not what Moorish Science Temple of America is. Moorish Science Temple of America is Rotarian. So if it's not working for the community, it's not Moorish Science Temple of America. If it's not doing its best to assist in uplifting fallen humanity, then it's not Moorish Science Temple of America. And it's not anything Moorish even. They're officers of the court. Out their own mouth, they told you that they're an officer of the court. And they have fezzes on. And they have a picture of Noble Jew Ali in the back. And they have a building called Moorish Science Temple of America. But, they're the 1928 Moorish Science Temple of America because, before 1928, it didn't mean anything because, Noble Jew Ali changed the name and all this. And so that means we don't have to study civics anymore. We could be passive Moors and play church. But Noble Jew Ali said all Moors are active, though. So when people say that they're Moorish Science Temple of America, and then they make claims like, well, we're friends of the court. And if the court needs to know anything about what Noble Jew Ali is about, then we'll let the court know. That's treason. That's violation of Zodiac Constitution. Because Zodiac Constitution tell you that these Moors shouldn't even be in their court. That's a foreign venue. They're not Negro, black, colored. So why are they in the European court? Well, what's the reason for them to be in this European court? That they're going to need to call these Moorish Science Temple 1928 guys as the validation of what Moorish Science Temple of America is when they're dealing with Moors in quote-unquote Canada. How come the court never called us? Why the court calling people all the way over there who had nothing to do with here since 2008? Because we've been here since 2008 talking about Moorish Science Temple of America. And none of these people were around talking. They weren't even mentioning Canada. They didn't even give a shit about you niggers in Canada. They didn't care about you. What do they care about you for? You guys did nothing. Right? Not knowing that Bobby Hemmett here came here, christened here as the pineal gland of consciousness. That you better be in line with the Moors in the north. Because this is where it's at. This is where it's going to happen. That he's at supposedly black lecture or whatever. And then there's Europeans here. That they know about him. And they could list all the books that he put in the thing. He's like, this is a different place up here. It's different. There's Hindus in here. What's a Hindu doing at the black guy's lecture? So we know these people playing that they're working with courts, and then they can say that they're Moorish Science Temple of America too, is a fiction. Because one, they weren't here in 2008, because we've been here and we never seen these people until they just mentioned Canada in something just the other day. That they're talking with the courts out here. No wonder when Moors go to court here, these people are talking crazy. No wonder. No wonder some Moors have issues, while other Moors don't have issues in this jurisdiction. There's Moors whose stuff's dismissed. There's Moors who they're going to kidnap you. No wonder. Because if you don't realize that it's all about Moorish, it's all about Moorish. Moor sent me this today. Islam to all the Moors that study. Visit our China on Barra Street, around the corner from Ma Temple, Macau, China. Moorish barracks. Why is there a Moorish barracks in China? How come it's not African? How come it's not ancient Egyptian? How come it's not ancient Aztec, Olmec, Mayan? How come it's not any of that? How come it's Moorish in China? Everyone knows who you are. Except you. The Moorish barracks, originally the barracks of Indian soldiers appointed from Goa, to Macau. The building itself is an architectural masterpiece. Instead of a European style frequently seen in the Avenida de Almeida Ribeiro, the building shows a blending of Arabian and Gothic architectural styles, the former obviously dominating. It has been the office building of Macau Port Authority since the 19th century. Other Moorish designed buildings near China. Why isn't it any of the other ancient names that they told you are the ancient names? And if you say, well, it's not China because it was for the Indians. Okay, well, what's the Indian have to do with Moors then? Instead of saying, still bumping into the elephant in the room, that everyone knows who the Moors are except you. You're going to get no European debating us. You're going to get no Hindu debating us, no Buddhist debating us, no Christian debating us, no Imam debating us. You're going to get no Hebrew Israelites debating us, no Egyptologists, no yoga people. There ain't nobody debating us because everybody knows what's up. You hard-head, stiff-necked ones that only want to learn at the point of a sword. And then when you get the sword, you're mad. You're complaining about people are racist. When that was your justice you called on yourself. You want to honor Noble Drew Ali. You want to do everything else. All right. Then do everything else then. And keep getting what you're getting. And again, Islam to all the Moors worldwide who know that they're Moors, who know about their nationality and their birthrights, and know that they're Moors. Honors to all you Moors. Malayan Railway Administration Building. Why is the Malayan Railway Administration Building Moorish architecture? Why? Why is it Moorish? Why is it not all the African stuff? Why isn't it all the ancient Sumerian whatever? How come it's Moorish? And this is a building of the government. One more has to be relayed. Whatever it is, we're gonna relay it because we know that there's two of you out there who's sick of the BS and you're ready to get off the fence. So too, we already know that, so we're not concerned. We don't need the 50 billion. All we need is a few good men. And keep in mind, man includes a mother. Don't go nuts. Then where's the women at? Don't worry, man includes women. The boat has left the dock, you're behind. You have to catch up to where we're at. Classical Islamic architectures in Central Asia. Every particular architecture has a certain style, pattern, traditional elements into it, apart from the religious presentation, if any. Islamic architecture in the world showcase wide range of styles in all their monuments built in different eras. We can walk about architectures in Central Asia that has been influenced by many traditions, including Islamic architecture in Russia, Persia, and China. In this article, we are talking about classical Islamic architectures in Central Asia. The principal Islamic architectural types are the mosque, the tomb, the palace, and the fort. Now, one more you need. From these four types, the vocabulary of Islamic architecture is derived and used for other buildings such as public baths, fountains, and domestic architecture. Here we are listing some Islamic architectures located in different parts of Central Asia. Mausoleum of Khoja Ahmed Yasawi. The mausoleum is an unfinished architecture in the city of Turkestan in Kazakhstan. This was built between 1389 and 1405. In this unfinished building, experiment was done by builders with structural and architectural solutions. This building has survived till date and is one of the largest, best preserved constructions of Timurid period. Timurid. 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 You have nothing to do with Moors? No problem. Registan Square. Timurid. Either way you go. Timurid period in Uzbekistan. Registan was the heart of the ancient Samarkand of the Timurid dynasty, now in Uzbekistan. In Persian, the meaning of Registan is desert or sandy place. Registan Square, along with other buildings of Timurid people, were the result of coming together of craftsmen and builders from across the empire. Across the empire? Because it said Timurid is a dynasty. So if that's a dynasty, that means it's part of an empire. Oh, and then this is saying that's 1300s. So, the only empire they could be talking about is the Moorish Empire. That's why all the buildings are Moorish, no matter where you went. Because at a certain time, the Moors ruled the entire planet. You couldn't go anywhere without seeing Moors. Because Moors ruled the planet. But we don't want that. We want to jump over that and go talk about some ancient history 50 billion years ago. When we got history yesterday that we could use to do what we're supposed to do right now. And everybody around the world is doing it. Ichan Kala, Uzbekistan. This town is well-preserved example of Islamic architecture. The entire town is Moorish. That's the architecture, Islamic. It's not Central Asian architecture for the town. Why is the whole town Islamic? Unless everybody was down with the program. Would you complain if this was your town look like this? Tell me you would complain. Push the thing and tell me why you wouldn't want your town looking like this opposed to what we got right now. Calling that city or whatever. What if the city was like this? Maybe people will respect it and treat it how it's supposed to be treated and stuff like that. Right? Because they would see the value in don't let them make you stray from your Moorish history because you think whatever they're talking about is real when it's not real, or people just talking crazy about Moors and Moorish whatever, and you throwing in the towel and studying something else other than this. Because this is the stuff they're not going to tell you to make you gravitate to it. Khalta minor minaret. In Khiva, Uzbekistan. Ancient Khiva. 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 Can't be imagined without this monument. Minaret has become an iconic symbol of Khiva because of its marvelous blue and green tile work. The construction of the minaret was stopped in 1855 after the death of then Khiva ruler. So the minaret could not get completed, and its height is said to be only 1/3 of its projected height. Also, it had to be narrow at the top, but it remained unfinished till date, making it Khalita minor minaret, meaning short minaret. Right. Your town look like that. You complaining? Complaining living under Moorish rule. Nobody complaining. What are you complaining for? Right, instead of skyscrapers. Hebat Mosque, historical mosque in Baku, Azerbaijan. It is also known as Mosque of Fatima. This is one of the prominent Islamic architecture. Today it is considered a spiritual place for Muslims. The current structure of the mosque was built in the 1990s, which is a recreation of the mosque with the same name, which was built in the 13th century. Another beautiful place of Islamic architecture located in Bukhara. This is the monument of the 9th to 10th century. This is a cubical construction with hemispherical dome. This mausoleum is one of the esteemed sites of Central Asia, and it was built as the resting place of Ismail Samani, a powerful and influential emir of the Samanid dynasty. Palace of the Shrivanshas. The Shrivanshas is the biggest monument in Baku, Azerbaijan. The complex contains the main building of the palace, the burial vault, the Shah's mosque with a minaret, Said Yahya Bakuvi Mausoleum, a portal in the east, Murad Gate, a reservoir, and a remnant of the bathhouse. They're going to show you some pictures about some people in fezzes cutting off some African people's hands or whatever and tell you those are Moors. They're not going to tell you about this stuff here that the Moors did. Why don't they bring this up? They keep bringing up dumb stuff. Stealing from the Saracens. How Islamic architecture shaped Europe. And remember, don't debate Moors. Go talk to MEI EDU. Drawing on the ideas and styles passed down from vibrant Middle East trading cities into the West, the architectural heritage of America and Europe owes an important debt to the Arab and Islamic world. As I lay out my new book, Stealing from the Saracens, How Islamic Architecture Shaped Europe. And this is Diana Dark. England's greatest architect, Sir Christopher Wren, wrote that what we call the Gothic style should more rightly be called the Saracen style. Americans, it seems, are especially fond of Gothic. Across the continent are spectacular Gothic revival structures, many modeled on the medieval cathedrals of England and France, such as St. John the Divine and St. Patrick's in New York City, Washington National Cathedral, and the Cathedral of St. John the Baptist in Savannah, Georgia. On top of that, America boasts the world's biggest collection of neo-Gothic architecture in its universities, colleges, and schools. What accounts for that popularity? America's leading neo-Gothic architect, Ralph Cram, wrote in his book Gothic Quest about the power of architecture to bend men and sway them. Like the fervent European Gothic revival architects before him, such as Augustus Pugin, designer of the clock tower commonly known as Big Ben for the Houses of Parliament in London, Cram believed that Gothic was the purest form. Big Ben Bay. When studying classical architecture in Rome, he had an epiphany during a Christmas Eve Mass, thereafter becoming an Anglo-Catholic. Like his fellow neo-Gothic enthusiasts in Europe, and indeed like many Europeans today, for him Gothic architecture epitomized the Catholic faith. The commonly held view of Gothic's provenance was that it represented Europe's shared heritage. Although such Eurocentrism remains deeply rooted, serious scholarship has questioned just how European the Greek, Roman, and Byzantine civilizations that preceded the era of Gothic actually were, since all three empires were multiculturally and multi-ethnic. Few of the later Roman emperors were ethnically Italian, and even fewer Byzantine rulers were ethnically Greek. The Islamic roots of Gothic architecture. The time has come to examine Gothic in the same way, since Cram never realized, along with Americans and Europeans in general, that key elements of Gothic architecture, the pointed arch, the trefoil arch, ribbed vaulting, and many other features were born not in Europe, but further east, often evolving from styles that were associated with a complete different religion. Even Eurocentric architects cannot deny that the pointed arch had its origins in the Islamic architecture. It appeared in the 7th century Dome of the Rock in Jerusalem, built as the first Muslim shrine by the Umayyad Caliph Abdul al-Malik, and was then further developed under Abbasids in Baghdad. Everything Islamic. I'm only going to tell you about the BS the Moors did. Why don't they tell you about the greatness? The 10th century ribbed vaulting of the Mesquita's main dome, today called the Villa Viciosa Chapel, was analyzed in 2017 by Spanish architectural engineers and pronounced the most perfect example of geometry never once needing repair in its 1,000-year existence. This is what you did, Moors. Pronounced the most perfect example of geometry, never once needing repair in its 1,000-year existence. If that one building lasts 1,000 years, how long do you think the streets and everything else that we had back then lasted? Now you're looking at stuff today, they built something new. No, it's built on top of the stuff that was there already. Just go watch some Michelle Gibson. Look her up. The masons' marks displayed on the rear wall show the names to be overwhelmingly Muslim. Unsurprisingly, since their grasp of geometry and their stone masonry was recognized as far superior to that of their European counterparts. It was no coincidence that Spanish Christian kings like Alfonso XI and Pedro the Cruel insisted on Muslim craftsmen for their building projects. From Spain, these skills and styles passed into southern France, where they were gradually incorporated into Benedictine abbeys, Cluniac shrines on the pilgrim route to Santiago de Compostela. The same styles also found their way into Europe from vibrant Islamic cities like Cairo, Damascus, Aleppo, passing first via Italian trading ports like Amalfi, and then the Norman Arab-influenced architecture of Sicily. Right, you're mad? You're mad that you have a city. You have a city, right, that nothing needs repair for 1,000 years. You can do something with some tax dollars now, right? If they don't need it to fix the roads and to fix anything, nothing needing repair for 1,000 years? Come on now. How much times they repaired something on your street? In the last 10 years living on your street, how much times they've been out there repairing something? This is the power that you hold, Moors. Fan vaulting of the crossing inside Canterbury Cathedral. Right? What is that? What is that? What is that? You know what that is? That's Inception. You know what that is? That's nature in stone. That's shrooms. That's not even on this, in this realm. You know how high they had to be to figure this stuff out? High in every sense of the word. And you have to think how crazy it is that if that's the ceiling, if the ceiling looks like that, if the ceiling looks like that, how many people missed it? How many people got caught up looking all around them and never looked up? Think that they saw something. Yeah, I saw the whole thing. We were there for 10 hours. Did you look up? Huh? Did you look up? Don't! Pointed arches, trefoil arches, and ribbed vaulting in the chapter house, Westminster Abbey. They don't know who the Moors are, but Westminster Abbey has all this going on. How do Europeans have all this going on? And they're telling you they don't know who the Moors are. Oh yeah, it's the Christian, this is the church. That's church? Yeah. Do the Hail Marys and stuff. How come it's Islamic? Huh? How come the church is Islamic? From Spain to North America. In North America, it is easy to forget that when the Spanish arrived in Mexico in 1492, they came from a world in which Christians and Muslims had shared rule for nearly 800 years. The Spanish colonizers did not build in the style of the Native Americans whose lands they took, but imported the styles of their homeland, just as Umayyads had recreated the Syrian styles of their homeland in Spain, modeling the Cordoba Mesquita and the Damascus Umayyad Mosque. The influence of the Moors, as Muslims were known, can be found in practically every style from Spain from 8th century onwards, with its unmistakable tinge of Orientalism. The Spanish missions in California and Arizona, founded by Catholic priests of the Franciscan order in the 18th and 19th centuries, also imported the styles of their homeland, and Moorish designs are evident in San Xavier del Bac and San Luis Rey de Francia. Taking inspiration from English, Oxford, and Cambridge colleges, collegiate Gothic, as it is known, began in the 19th century America with church-like libraries at prestigious universities such as Harvard's Gore Hall. Harvard has Moorish designed architecture on their campus. You might want to go check how much buildings in Harvard are Gothic. Give you a perspective of where the rulers' minds are at. And why you're not a ruler. Because you want to have a mind of Negro, black, colored people. Yale's Sterling Law Building. Remember, Gothic is Saracen, just in case you forgot. When you look Gothic and you're thinking about Marilyn Manson or some BS like that, that ain't Gothic. You know, the black fingernails and all that stuff, that's not Gothic. Gothic is Saracen. Right? I think they always wear black, the Goth people. They always wear black. It's not because of some darkness in there. Oh my God, they're scared in the... Got the cuts on the arms and all that stuff, and they have issues. That's not the dark that the Goth comes from. Goth is Gothic, which is Saracen. And Saracen is Moorish. Hispano-Saracenic Gothic Cathedral in Barcelona. I just remember all those Disney Castle intro and stuff like that, that everybody stole your stuff. Because castles and palaces and stuff like that are Moorish and Saracenic and Islamic. They're not European. All. Anything that is saying that it's a church, go check. Oh, U.S. Capitol building. U.S. Capitol building? Why is that Saracenic? Thought they're Christian. Thought they swear on the Bible and all that stuff, but they have an Islamic building? And nobody ever told you that that's Islamic? That's Saracenic? So if that one's, how many of the other ones are Moorish, Saracenic, Islamic architecture? And then how come it's always government buildings, libraries and churches and stuff like that? Somebody knows something and they're not putting you on game. You better study so you could know. Surely, if there is a lesson in all of this, it is that no one owns architecture, just as no one owns science. Everything builds on everything else. How wonderful it would be in this current age of Islamophobia and nationalism if we could acknowledge the ties that bind us, often in mysterious and unseen ways, rather than seeking to airbrush them out of history. My hope is that an enhanced understanding of the shared elements of Christian and Islamic architecture might encourage us toward a broader inter-religious dialogue, even with those we may sometimes see as the enemy. Diana Dark, author of My House in Damascus, An Inside View of the Syrian Crisis, The Merchant of Syria, and most recently, Stealing from the Saracens, How Islamic Architecture Shaped Europe. Peace and love to all the Moors. Honors to all the Moors worldwide. Just know there's more to it than they're telling you. There's way more to it than they're telling you. Study, study, study. Honors to all the Moors worldwide. Honors to all mothers. Supreme honors to the Prophet Noble Jew Ali. Supreme honors. All you Moors who know about your nationality and your birthrights. You're the faithful ones that Jew Ali was talking about. So keep the faith. Keep the faith, because remember, the battle's gonna be won in a way that you can't even talk about it. You're just gonna wake up one day and we're winning. And the stuff's over. Islam to all the Moors worldwide. Honors again to the Prophet Noble Jew Ali. And honors to all mothers and all Moors worldwide. Islam.